Alright, it's 2:01 on Monday, September 14th, and this is kind of a follow-up to last week's recording that I did on, I guess that was Friday, and I'm just pulling away from the gas station. I was trying to get air in the tire of my car before I drive out to this next property I have to go to. Once again, I'm going to be doing this recording while I'm driving, and obviously I'm a little distracted right now as I'm trying to focus my attention on getting out of this parking lot and back out onto the road. But anyway, I did that recording on Friday, and I was just finishing up just before I got to my destination on Friday, and I actually cut it off because of, well, I was paying attention to my recording and not paying attention to the exit I needed, and missed the exit I needed to get off on, and had to take a different exit, which all worked out fine. I got where I needed to go, but I had ended it there, and I decided I wanted to listen to see how well it sounded, because I knew I was kind of pushing the limitations of reception by having the phone sitting in my lap while I was trying to record. So I went ahead and I started the play button as I was when I got to the house that I was going to follow up on, and I got sucked into it, really. It's the first time I've ever sat and listened to a voice recording. And as I said, I started this in, I don't know, April, May, maybe, of 2011, and did it solid pretty much every day until a year or so ago. And then I was going more once a week, every few days, once every couple of days, just when I felt the need to talk or to vent or to document something that had happened in my progress, so that I could again compile the body of work that I was hoping to use as my introduction to the world and as a means of earning a living other than what I've been doing. Again, as much as I would love to do what I feel like I need to do for free, we live in a world with expenses, and you have to make a choice of operating within that world and within that expense structure or not. And mine obviously is trying to operate within that structure and earn a living and generate an income to provide a certain level of comfort and lifestyle. And so anyway, that was the basis of it, and that was supposed to be a revenue generating project. And only the beginning of that project, it was hoping to lead into different forms of media, maybe some public speaking engagements, some motivational speaking, whatever. Again, this is not the focus of my conversation today, but bottom line is I listened back to it for the first time after hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of recordings, most of which now are lost, except for a few that are on this phone, and I believe I have another laptop, an older laptop that I had stored a few files on at some point before I transferred everything to that new laptop last year. So I sat and listened to it almost to the end. That was a 28-minute recording, and I've never been a big fan of my voice on tape or on playback, and I actually found myself getting drawn into it, and the tone of my voice even was having an effect on me that would not, well, it's never had before, but obviously I'd never listened to my voice other than, maybe on my outgoing voice message for my phone, or an answering machine back in the day when they had answering machines, and maybe one of the few times I listened for a few seconds when one of my recordings, just to check to see if it was there, or check to see which recording I had, or whatever. And but I felt moved by it. I really did, and I felt like it had the potential to impact people. And when I was recording that, it was with the intent of bolstering the blog, that I wanted to build that up a little bit more, to give another option, because it is obviously easier for me to make this recording and convey a pretty substantial amount of information in a short period of time. Whereas if I was sitting and typing that 28-minute recording that I made on Friday, if I would have typed all that out and conveyed all that information and the thought process it takes for me to put that out there, and the time it takes me to type and then reread and correct as I'm doing it, that would have taken me probably 8-10 hours. And that's not an exaggeration. Just even a simple little one-paragraph essay can take me up to 2 hours of starting to write, correcting my grammar, correcting my spelling, correcting my typos as I go along. The one that I did the first one I did here when I got back into the swing of things on the blog, it was probably about 2 weeks ago now. For the first time, I had a flash of a movie, and it's Finding Forrester, and it was about writing, about a seasoned writer teaching a younger writer some of the finer things of writing. And there was a point in the movie where he was sitting there thinking and typing and thinking and typing, and he told him, Sean Connery's character told the younger kid, the point behind writing is to write. You go back and reread it and fix it later. And I tried that for the first time a couple weeks ago when I typed that first of the 2 blog entries that I've put in the last couple weeks. And I didn't even look at the screen. I just started typing until I had the basis of what I wanted to say typed out from start to finish. And then I went back through and I started correcting the typos and correcting the misspellings and all the other stuff that was there. So it took me maybe 15 minutes to a half an hour to write that, and I actually had a workable product there that just needed me to go back and refine it, refinish it. And then I sat back down later that night and did the technical stuff, which was much easier because I have a tendency to lose my train of thought. I'll drift to something else in the correction process. As I'm typing a sentence or 3 words or whatever I put up, and then look and read it and see, all right, well, I forgot to capitalize the first word, and I forgot a E in the second word. And when I start to correct those things, I lose my train of thought, I lose my focus, and I'll tend to drift. And this way made it easier for me to put down one specific train of thought from start to finish, and then save it, and then go back later and correct all the technical stuff, and then read it and then reevaluate it. Well, how would I like to word that differently? Do I want to change that? And do I want to expand that idea a little bit more? Do I want to shorten that up? Do I want to take that out? It was easier to do the editing part later, and I don't know that I'll be able to maintain doing it that way. It was very hard for me not to look at that screen, as obsessive compulsive as I am, knowing that there's probably typos as I'm typing it and corrections that I'm being missed and waiting to the end. So there's ups and downs in that process for me, and that's just taking into account my psychology, which I have to have a pretty strong understanding of to be able to move through this world, so that I can account for and accommodate for some of my special needs, so to speak. So that being said, I listened to the recording. It made an impression on me, and I was very anxious for other people to hear it, and decided that with the technology that's available today, and this has been afterthought and ongoing thought in the back of my mind for a number of years now, that it's easier to convey knowledge now than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and you see where this is going. And, you know, way back when most of our religions were supposedly founded, or wise men or prophets or messiahs or saviors, or whatever your belief system is, whatever structure it has and whatever history it has, most of it originated in a time when there was no mass communication, which again is from a movie / Broadway performance, Jesus Christ Superstar. Judas is singing to Jesus and talking to him about why he chose such a strange land at an odd time, and a time with no mass communication. And that line has always stuck with me, and it was with me the other day when I was really pushing that. And it's really, you know, the thing that's hindered me most of my life has been fear. Fear of, what I am, what I will become, and, well, really how other people are going to accept or not accept that. And sometimes it's easier just to hide in my shell of my own private world and not put myself out there. And in the times that I have put myself out there, any kind of misjudgment or misperception from what my intent is to what people are obviously perceiving of me, any kind of perceived wrongdoing bothers me, whether I know for a fact way down deep inside that I've done nothing wrong.
SMS from Gencel. Press Uconnect phone button and say text message to read it.
Alright, so it looks like this is still recording. One of the downsides of technology, as I'm using it, as I was speaking about the benefits of technology and mass communication, is as you're recording something on your voice recording app on your telephone and you get a text message or a phone call. So a brief interruption there. I don't know how much of that was actually recorded when that came through, and if it stopped, if it paused. I guess I'll have to listen to it later. It's not the point. But I've also suffered a distraction, which, again, is hard for me to regain focus of what I was talking about. But I know the general gist was that I was moving towards utilizing some of the options that are out there and available as far as sharing information. And that's what it really comes down to, is I want to share information that I have, my perspective, my view of the world, because I have a strong feeling that it's something that a certain number of people out there need, that are looking for. The same with any person that's ever been born throughout history that felt like they had something to say that was going to impact and influence someone beyond themselves. And whether they were crazy or whether they became world-renowned physicists, philosophers, saviors, messiahs, however you want to term it, there's been people throughout history that felt like they had something to teach, something to offer, a different view, something of themselves that other people would want to hear. And in some respects, I am no different. I have that same aspiration, that same feeling, that same goal to achieve that. And as I have tinkered around with different methods of doing that, which when it first started, part of it was just thought generation. Just generating the thoughts alone influences and impacts our reality and environment. It went to writing handwritten little essays, to writing what I originally was going to have as a newsletter back when, before there were cell phones, before there was personal computers. Personal computers were just coming in line, because that's what I was starting to generate. We had purchased our first PC, and I was amazed at the production software that you could generate and type and put out a product without having to go to a professional printer, professional company to be able to generate those documents or those items. And I toyed around with that, played with that, and wrote more essays. Again, that was a step, that was a process in opening up, even though nobody ever read any of that stuff. And I talked about it with a few people that I was going to do it or was doing it, which was never received very well. I got the same thing. Well, who's going to want to read that? Well, what's it about? Well, why would you waste your time with that? And it's the same kind of thing that you would expect from anybody. It's human nature. It's just part of the way it goes. And that eventually drifted into once blogging came along, and actually there was social networking sites, and MySpace first came out, and I said, I'm going to start a MySpace page, and I'm going to put my thoughts and feelings out there for the world to see, and that's how this is all going to start. And I started a MySpace page, set it all up, spent days getting it all ready, and then never put anything on there. And then it shifted into, blogging became popular, and I was like, well, you can open a blog, you can type your things, and when you type it up, it's out there for anybody to see. And that was a big step for me, because I put that out there, and it was there. Anybody could come across it, and that was extremely moving to me, really. It created a certain amount of excitement that I was accomplishing something. I was finally doing something. I was speaking, and my voice was out there, not literally, obviously, figuratively. And I've been doing that for years. And then I shifted into, actually speaking these things aloud. When I got into the voice notes and started recording these, it was weird. It was weird to speak and have these words, these ideas come out of my mouth, and even though I'm just listening to them as I'm speaking and not listening to them back, it was just weird to hear myself say things that have been on my mind that I've always felt embarrassed, awkward, ashamed, uncomfortable, you name it, in speaking aloud. So that step came and went, and I was really looking for the outlet to be able to share those, and had not come to that point. And then obviously lost all my stuff last year, and then lost all hope of doing anything with any of it until I recorded last week. And I listened to it back and said, you know what, I am going to find a way to put this out there. And it took some work. It took me basically the entire weekend of my free time, which there isn't much. There's a lot of things going on in our house and our life. Everybody's got day-to-day tasks above and beyond work, grocery shopping, housework, spending time with the family, to be able to spend a little bit of extra time doing something along those lines. And I did. I spent what free time I had over the weekend working on it. I had to figure out how to transfer the voice note files from my phone to my computer, because it's a different format. So I had to change the format, and I had to find a software that would do that. So I had to search and research and find the software. Then I had to figure out how to download it to the computer, which I had several issues with getting it to download, but I finally got it done. And then I was able to get the files converted to a usable file, and then I had to figure out how to turn it into a movie format with some type of a photo, which took more research and more downloading of software to be able to coordinate that, to the point where I finally got it, and then finally got it uploaded, and I uploaded it to YouTube last night. But it took, like I said, all my free time all this weekend. It was a lot of work. It was somewhat discouraging, but I kept pushing through because I felt strongly in the result, that I knew what it could result in, and it was worth it to put that effort into it. And that's reflective of everybody's day in the life, is finding the things that are worth putting the work into and doing it. And I felt very accomplished and proud of myself for having done it, and a certain amount of success after getting it posted. I have no idea if anybody will ever listen to it. I have no idea if I'll even follow through and put this one on. But steps. I'm taking the steps towards what I feel like is my ultimate goal, my ultimate potential, and trying to document it a little bit along the way so that when people come back to look at it, they have a path to follow. And there's always been a part of me that felt like I should have an entire body of work ready and available before I start putting it out there. But I've come to accept and realize that this is going to be a work in progress. I'm going to be starting from an incomplete state. I have a strong base knowledge and a base belief system and an understanding of the things that are around us, and I have some theories about what that means for other issues that surround us and the nature of our reality. And it's going to be a learn as you go process and share as you go process, I think, from here on out. And that scares me a little bit. It's not what I'm used to. I deep down inside, my preference is to have a completed, ready to go, checked, rechecked piece of work before I put it out there for someone else to look at, because I don't want to be second guessed, I don't want to be doubted, and I don't want to be questioned, really. There's a certain amount of debate I'm willing to accept, but I don't want to be nitpicked, and I just want to have something. But anyway, it's not going to go that way. This is, like I said, going to be work in progress, and it's going to expand as I expand. And I have a feeling that the interactions that I'm going to have along the way are going to be the biggest generator of the knowledge still to come and the revelations to be had. And I think I'm all right with that. I'm slightly uncomfortable, a little outside of my comfort zone, but I think I'm okay with it. And I'm kind of looking forward to it. I did have started last night, after I posted the video, start having doubts, fears, and it was crippling. It really did. It closed me down. I reached out to my friend Josh, which it's the only friend I really have other than Rhonda. He is my closest friend, and I've reached out to him now 3 times in the and we don't talk very often. Obviously, he's in the Quad Cities, I'm down here, and even when we were both in the same city, we talked maybe once or twice a year, if that. And but I still consider him my close friend and my closest friend that I've ever had. And again, it's more of a symbolic gesture of opening up. I decided I really wanted to reach out to him, and I sent him a text yesterday, and there could be a variety of reasons why he hasn't responded to any text that I have sent him over the last 8-10 months. He could have a different phone number, he could not have my number, not who they're coming from, I don't know. And it's not really the important thing. The important thing is I made the effort to reach out to him and I didn't get a response, and that really affected me. In my mind, it shouldn't have affected me, but it caused me to have doubts, it caused me to have fears. And then I tried to call my son, just because I told him I would, and he didn't respond either and didn't answer. So I went to bed last night having tried to reach out to 2 of the more important people in my life that I don't see on a day-to-day basis, and I didn't get anything back. I reached out and got nothing, and then my mind started to go to all kinds of things, fears of people questioning, how I've handled my life, the things that I've done. And I've lived my life by a very strict moral and ethical code. I live by a warrior's code. I live by extremely rigid moral code of ethics as far as right and wrong. And there's no wavering in that for me. But even knowing that, if I am questioned or somebody doubts my approach, my honor, I have to question myself. There's no way around it. I've tried to get by, and it causes me extreme stress and anxiety when I have to sort through and double check my actions, my words, and make sure that I am living to that code. and it's extremely stressful. And I went to bed last night stressed out, and part of it is my typical Sunday night. I have to go back to work tomorrow. My free time is over event, but still. So I did not go to bed in a good place. I woke up slightly off this morning, and my whole day has been slightly off. There's been just a little bit of something not right throughout the day, and again, I don't have an explanation for it right now. I haven't really given a lot of thought into evaluating why the things that are happening today are happening the way they are, and it's not really important right now. The important thing is that I just continue to get through the day and do what I need to do and fulfill my obligations for my job and my family life, and try to do things like this that will help me move forward and move on towards a reality that I believe I'm destined for. So I guess that's going to be it for the day. I'm at the house I need to be at, and I need to take care of some business here, and this may make it to the upload category, and it may not. I'm not sure. We'll see.